What's up, everyone? We're your hosts, Grant Cohn, Rob Guerrera. Rob is new. Rob's been on the channel in the sense that he had me on his channel, and I took some clips and posted on my channel, and they were really fun. If you saw it, I think I posted them on the weekend. We cursed a lot. We made a lot of good points, though. So I had to bring Rob on the show because I love Rob. I've known Rob a long time, and we haven't always liked each other. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, but I like Rob. He thinks for himself. And I had to get him on the show today of all days because this is the day that I've never seen Niner fans. I mean, they've been angry a lot, but today is the day, man. How you doing?
I'm great. I mean, well, I shouldn't say great. I'm okay. I mean, I'm battling a cold, but the 49ers are making me sick right now because I don't know what the hell they're doing, Grant.
All right, well, let me ask you. How did they blow this Jimmy Garoppolo situation? Because I think we can all agree that they blew it. So how did they do that?
They blew it. Honestly, if I could put it in one sentence, it's by not acting with any urgency whatsoever.
Yeah.
They didn't act with any urgency when they made the trade to move up to 3 to eventually pick Trey Lance. They didn't act with any urgency when they let Jimmy Garoppolo just sit on the roster all year last year, didn't develop Lance hardly at all, and they didn't act with any urgency this offseason after the first two big quarterback dominoes fell. Aaron Rodgers returning to Green Bay and Russell Wilson getting traded to Denver. They just were content to let everything happen, and now here they are. They're stuck because there's basically one landing spot left for Jimmy Garoppolo, and the 49ers are either looking at the prospect of hopefully dumping him to Carolina or keeping him on the roster going into training camp. It's just been terrible by the 49ers for a year.
And I don't even see Carolina as being super viable. I mean, they don't have a second-round pick or a third-round pick this year, and they have Sam Darnold, so they'd have to take on a lot of money and offer the Niners something next year. So I guess it could be them, but wow, what a come down.
It's just been a debacle for the 49ers. Like, I don't understand. Did they not realize what was going to happen? Like, everyone, people have been saying, well, they couldn't have foreseen Tom Brady coming back. 6 days after Tom Brady retired, he said, well, you never know what could happen. 6 days. Like, Come on. The idea that this just happened to the 49ers is absurd. And if you're letting them off the hook, I don't know what you ever want us to hold them responsible for. They have botched this big time.
Also, the other big thing other than Tom Brady was Deshaun Watson. Him being cleared and then being on the market. I mean, everyone knew he had a big grand jury date coming up. Like that shouldn't have caught them by surprise. Maybe the Niners thought he would get indicted, in which case they guessed wrong. Or maybe they just didn't understand the effect of Watson being released onto the open market, what that would do to their market for Jimmy Garoppolo if it existed. So they blew that one. That was a big one.
I find it hard to believe that the 49ers got no offers for Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, the Steelers never made an offer for Jimmy Garoppolo before they decided to hitch their wagon to Mitchell Trubisky. Like, really? They never made you an offer? And I know Albert Breer had a piece today that the Niners were waiting for Deshaun Watson to get traded. But, like, when you have the weakest card at the table, you can't hold on to it. You got to play it before everybody else plays theirs.
Let's compare what the 49ers did to what the Colts did. Colts are in the same position, right? Didn't want their quarterback, wanted to offload him, get someone new. So the Colts traded Wentz for 2 third-round picks. Am I wrong about that? 2/3. I think that's right.
I can't remember the specifics.
I think the second third can become a second if, he plays really well. So they got 2/3 for Wentz before Deshaun Watson was cleared. Then they traded 1/3 for Matt Ryan. So they upgraded at quarterback and acquired. I got a net positive in their trade. The Niners, on the other hand, still have Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's the end of the story. So, I mean, look, the Niners have done a lot of good things the last 5 years. They've built this up from the bottom. But just this offseason, what they're doing right now compared to another team that had the same situation, it's night and day.
I just... Everywhere you look on this roster this offseason, like the 49ers went into the roster thinking the only thing they had to patch up was the special teams. Like, really? Because that's what it seems like, right? Like, I don't care what they say. I care about what they do. And I'm just not seeing it anywhere. Again, it goes back to the whole urgency thing. Like, what? Look at Cincinnati, right? They go into the offseason. What's their biggest need? Offensive line. Bam. They have 3 new starting offensive linemen. The
Yeah.
Bills were 15 seconds away, right? Against the Chiefs. The Bills have gone into this offseason like their hair is on fire. They're bringing in people left, right, and center. 49ers, it's crickets. I mean, Charvarius Ward is a great signing. That's an awesome move by the 49ers. But you got to do more than one good thing in the offseason.
They're acting like a team that missed the playoffs last year. It's really strange. And the thing about the special teams, you said like they're addressing it. Yeah, but like, look, the guys they got are really good on special teams, especially Odom. That dude is really good on special teams, but so was Sherfield. So was Cannon. Trent Cannon is a phenomenal gunner. He had 7 tackles in 11 games for the Niners. So yeah, I mean, they added some great pieces. They lost some great pieces. I don't know how much better the special teams is. Like, how good is Ray McLeod really in his fumbling problem? I mean, I have questions about that. But anyway, that's kind of off the point. The Niners blew this Jimmy Garoppolo situation. They probably could have gotten something good for him maybe in that time frame when the Colts traded Wentz. I think that was their time, and I think they missed it.
Do you think, can I just ask you a quick question, sorry, before you get to that? Is it possible that Washington wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy said, I don't want to go there, and this would have been obviously before his no-trade clause expired?
Now, Vish explained this to me, and Vish is very smart. Vish is the person I go to explain.
Yes, he is.
He said that no-trade clause was moot because although you would agree to the deal whenever it wouldn't become official until after the league year started. And that's after his no-trade clause expired. So, I mean, if they wanted to do right by Jimmy and Jimmy was like, hey, I don't want to go to Washington, and John Lynch is like, okay, I'll honor your wish, then that's one thing. But actually, I don't think his no-trade clause had any impact this off. That's what Vish said. It seemed to make sense to me.
Well, but at the same time, like, would Washington have then wanted to work out a new contract with Jimmy? Because if that's the case, and Jimmy says, hey, I don't want to be there, I'm not going to do a new contract with you.
There you go.
That's essentially a de facto no-trade clause.
You see, you're very smart too. Exactly. It's like Washington could say, we would trade for Jimmy, but we don't want to. Who would want to trade for 1 year of a quarterback? Doesn't make sense. We're going to want 2-3 years of Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy's like, well, let me just tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Right. All right. Well, it's off the table. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. I'm going to take one quick question. We're going to get back to the show. Is it possible for the Niners to take on Sam Darnold in a Jimmy trade to possibly reconstruct his contract, making him a backup, or is it too much money? Sam Darnold is so bad. He's awful. He's really bad.
Awful.
So bad. He
does all the things that Jimmy does, but he does all Jimmy's bad things worse. He turns the ball over more. He fumbles the ball more. There is no reason to want Sam Darnold anywhere near this team.
All right. So the Niners blew it. And it was fun to explain how they blew it. But now let's look forward. What's next? Are they going to release Jimmy Garoppolo?
I think they have to. And this is the crazy thing. When Jimmy announced right at the combine that he was going to have surgery, that he hadn't had surgery yet, he was going to have surgery, I was furious because I said that this is and this is Garoppolo's team trying to tank the trade value so that he can get released. And I said, if the 49ers have to release Jimmy Garoppolo, it's organizational malpractice. Yeah. Well, guess what? Now it's March 21st, and I'm sitting here begging them to release him because the alternative is that he stays on the team, Grant. He's there in training camp, Grant. And guess what? All the reporters are back in the locker room this year. So you're going to be able to go in there and ask every single player on the team, do you want Trey Lance to start? Do you want Jimmy Garoppolo to start? And clicks and sides are going to begin to form. And that is
happened last year. Yes. Yes.
Like that's the exact thing you don't want.
His Kittle on. We already know.
Yeah. And so it's a bad scene. So even though I think the 49ers have screwed this thing up, it can get worse unless Jimmy Garoppolo is cut and off the team. So I think they have to cut him.
I think they have to cut him. I think they should cut him. I think there's no freaking way they're going to cut him. I don't see it because you said it'd be organizational malpractice to cut him. I think a lot of people are up in the ante on John Lynch right now. John Middlecoff said he had a 2nd-round pick on the table for him. Mike Florio said he had 2 2nd-round picks on the table for him. These guys are Mike Florio. He's not lying. He's very connected.
Mike said that John Lynch is telling people he has 2 2nd-round picks.
Anyway, so whether he has it or not, if he's telling people that and he ends up cutting him, Man, he puts a big target on his back, and we're going to
Yep.
talk. So that's why I just feel like John Lynch in particular isn't going to open himself up to that kind of criticism. And I think the biggest reason that Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the team is the Niners don't want to admit that they were wrong about him. They see him as this, the rest of the league sees him as this, and they're going to hold out until their perception is reality, but it's not, and it never will be. It never will be. I'm sorry. So I don't see him releasing him, Rob, and they should. And that opens up a whole nother can of worms of what this year is going to look like.
You're exactly right. Teams hate to admit that they were wrong. Even the Colts technically didn't admit they were wrong, right? They said, well, at the time we thought trading for Carson Wentz was a good move. But then what did they do? They got him out of town faster than he could pack an overnight bag.
They couldn't know when they got him that he was going to be anti-vax. Like that wasn't even a thing when they got him, right? Like the vaccine was just coming out. It evolved the situation. And they held that against him.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think they did. But my point is that like they didn't admit publicly, like in what they said, that they made a mistake, but they got him out of town as fast as they could.
Yeah, and
49ers, I don't think they are going to admit that they were wrong.
No,
because they don't want that, especially Kyle. I don't care. Kyle hears the stuff that gets said about him. He absolutely does. He gets prickly. You can tell because people started complaining about how he never seemed to know anything about injuries. And then when he got asked about injuries, he always would slip this little like phrase into his answers like, well, I don't want to say too much about the injury, or you guys get mad when I talk about injury. Kyle hears everything. Sure. And so if they cut Jimmy, then they're going to have to admit that they were wrong. And I don't think they want to do that. I think you're 1,000% right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really easy I think John Lynch has figured it out. I mean, a lot of people think they could have traded him when the Colts traded Wentz. If his ego got in the way and he held out for more, thinking he had leverage and he was wrong, and he ends up having to release him, that is you can fire him. That's a fireable offense. And I think he understands it. And if he cuts him, the minute John Lynch cuts Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm saying fire John Lynch. And I might say fire John Lynch anyway. And that's why I don't think he's going to give me the satisfaction or the opportunity. Not just me. Florio. It'll be open season. And it might not be just on John Lynch.
Here's the thing. What does firing John Lynch even do? John Lynch is not the general manager of the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan is the general manager of the 49ers, followed very, very closely by Adam Peters. So John Lynch is there to do the press conference at the combine that Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to do. That's what John Lynch is there to do. He is not the guy that's making the decisions with the 49ers. It's Kyle Shanahan. He called Kyle Shanahan and asked him for a job. Like, do people forget that? Just because he has the title of general manager doesn't mean he has the power of general manager. And so you can get rid of John if you want, but I don't know how much it's going to change.
That's fair. I think this is what most Niner fans are saying, fire John Lynch right now. I guess throughout this whole thing, I was assuming, and there's no evidence, that Jimmy's still on the team because of Lynch. That Jimmy's on the team because of Lynch in the first place. Kyle wanted Kirk Cousins. That's been documented. And John's always seemed like such a pro-Jimmy guy. I thought that Trey coming here was more of a Kyle Shanahan thing, like Kyle secretly agrees with us about Jimmy and understands his limitations and understands that it's really Kyle and the supporting cast that makes Jimmy what he is. I was just assuming. And then I thought like really this whole debacle with Garoppolo is John Lynch being a player and a competitor and not wanting to lose on a small issue when he's not seeing the big picture. And that's the way I see it, but maybe I'm wrong with that.
I think that John kind of buys in more to the Garoppolo wins argument, right? Like, because that's players buy into that. That's why Garoppolo is so loved in the locker room.
Yes.
They don't care that he's missing open guys and reads. They care about when this guy starts, we win. And when the other guys we've had here have started, we've lost. That's what they care about. But that doesn't make it right. And I think that Kyle, because he's the guy that's doing the game planning and combing over the film and all of that stuff, he sees the bigger picture. But don't forget who John Lynch is. John Lynch is a former player. It's hard to lose that mentality just because he's got a different job now. You know, that's the way John Lynch was programmed to function for all these years. And so I think John is very hesitant to just throw Jimmy Garoppolo to the side here for, let's be honest, an unknown in Trey Lance. I think he's going to be good, but we don't know, and we won't know until he plays.
Yeah. So either John Lynch does nothing In which case, this is a Kyle Shanahan and a Jed York problem. In which case, they probably should fire John Lynch and get a general manager who does something. Or John Lynch is the one holding this up. He does have some power as a general manager, and his inability to like see the big picture and move on and like lose the battle so he can win the war. That cliche. Then he should be fired. Now, maybe I'm wrong. He has done a lot of good things and he's helped the Niners get here, but it seems like he might be the wrong. They might need someone else moving forward. I don't see what let me ask you this. What does he do? What does he do? Why is he an asset?
Now, he's a buffer between the media and Kyle.
Okay. Does Kyle need that at that point? Like he needed it at 37. But at this point, like, okay, is it just like Kyle would rather not? Because anytime there's a press conference, Kyle's right there next to John. And John says something, Kyle's like, yeah, and let me say one more thing. I don't think Kyle needs that anymore.
Does he need it? No. Does he want it?
Does he want it? Yeah, probably does. Probably does. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I do think that Kyle will listen to John because I think Kyle needs people around him that think differently than he does, to be honest with you. Everybody does. Anybody in a position of power needs people around them that think differently, to bounce ideas off of, someone to call you out, maybe, if you're making a bad decision. Yes. Yeah. And Mike McDaniel's gone now. He's in Miami. Robert Saleh's gone now. Matt LaFleur is gone now. Like, who's left to challenge Kyle Shanahan? His dad? He doesn't even work for the 49ers.
Yeah. Trey, 21-year-old Trey, you got it, man. You stand up to Kyle. Mark says Jimmy has all the power. All he has to do is tell trade partners that his shoulder hurts. Or that he won't sign an extension.
Right. I think he doesn't need to go to the shoulder. He just needs to say, I'm not signing an extension with you.
Yeah. If you want to give the Niners 2 second-round picks for 1 year of me, by all means, but I'm not going to sign an extension with you. That's true. George says, I don't care who the Niners sign. It doesn't matter as long as Jimmy is on this team. Will still fall short and still make big mistakes. I can't wait.
That's why they traded. That's why they moved heaven and earth to replace him. Now it seems like they don't want to move a finger to get rid of him.
And we're going to talk about why that is next. If no wanted to trade for Jimmy, then what will he get if released? Can't be nowhere near $25 million. If he gets released, he'd get $7.5 million from the Niners, and then he'd probably get something somewhere.
Jameis just got $21 million, and he's coming off a torn ACL. So he's not going to get $25 million, but he'll get pretty close. And he gets to pick his team.
That's true. Samaj says, looks like Revenge Tour 3.0 about to be a movie. Someone needs to make the Revenge Tour 3.0 shirt. I would buy that. That's my kind of humor. One more, and then we're going to get back to the show. Niners Daddy says, Jimmy can't be on the roster by training camp. They need to cut him. I really feel for Trey, and someone needs to be held accountable for this business 101 debacle. All right, here's the question. Once you get past the anger of, this is like the 5 stages of grief, right? Anger, fire John Lynch. And that's like the bargaining. Well, maybe this means that the Niners aren't confident in Trey Lance. Maybe the 49ers knowingly asked for what they couldn't get for Jimmy Garoppolo because secretly they think they still need him, because they're not confident in turning the team over to Lance. What do you think?
I think that doesn't mesh with reality. The reality is, at the end of the season, the 49ers gave Jimmy Garoppolo a farewell press conference after Lynch and Shanahan gave theirs. They gave him the stage. Yeah. He said in that press conference, I expect the trade to happen quickly, and he ended it by saying, I love you guys. Goodbye.
Yes.
He thought he was gone. So don't try and spin this like, oh, this was the 49ers plan all along because they want to keep Jimmy during training camp just in case Trey is not ready. No. That's not reality. The reality is nobody thought he'd be on the roster at this point, including Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is what I'm going to start hearing. I already know. Well, if they really like Trey Lance, Jimmy would have been gone by now. I don't think that's what this is. I think this is John and his ego thinking, oh, we got Indianapolis over a barrel. They're offering us this 3rd round pick prop. Let's say they were offering a 3rd round pick 3 weeks ago. We can get that. We can get that 2nd round pick. Number 42. Let's get 42. And then 3 weeks later, the Colts send that 3rd round pick for Matt Ryan. It's like, oh, we could have messed up and traded that for Jimmy Garoppolo. Thank goodness we were patient. Matt Ryan falls in our lap and the Niners look dumb. I think the Niners would have definitely traded Jimmy Garoppolo 2 weeks ago had they gotten their whatever. And I think they probably regret not taking the 3rd round pick now. Because who's trading the 3rd for him now? Seattle?
Right. That's why you had to do this early, because you don't know who else is going to come on the market. Baker Mayfield is on the market now. Nobody thought Matt Ryan was getting traded when the season ended. Everyone was like, look at his cap number. It's ridiculous. He can't get moved.
That's right.
When you don't have the strongest card, when you have the weakest card, you got to play it early, not late.
It's true. It's true. The Niners had like 9-7 offsuit, and we were looking for that straight draw. Didn't get it. And they cost them a lot of money, and they're still sitting there on the flop, like on the river, like, we got this. We got this. That was a terrible analogy. All right, moving on. It doesn't show a lack of confidence in Trey Lance, but you're going to hear that. John Lynch picked Trey Lance. Watch the trade draft day video. It tells everything he handpicked it in the video, said out of his own mouth. Damn, Ken.
No.
For real?
There's no way. Like what? Kyle Shanahan was like, I don't want this guy. And John Lynch, who asked Kyle Shanahan for the job, was like, screw you. I'm taking Trey Lance.
The tables have turned.
Right.
All right. This is our last topic. We could take some questions, but this is a quick one. This isn't a quick topic, though. There's actually a lot going on here. What the hell are the 49ers doing to their offensive line, Rob?
I don't know, because you've got 4 out of 5 positions where there are major, major question marks. Trent Williams at left tackle, great. Love it. Awesome. You can't do any better.
Yep.
Laken Tomlinson is gone. Yep. I don't know who's playing left guard. Alex Mack is 37 years old. We think he's coming back, but even if he comes back, okay.
Hasn't been confirmed. Hasn't been confirmed. The last time Lynch spoke publicly, he said he's leaning that direction, which means hasn't made up his mind.
Right guard is who exactly? Daniel Brunskill?
Probably one more year of Daniel Brunskill before he leaves. Yeah, probably one more year of the most, like the most bottom level starter you could have.
Like, we're still at Daniel Brunskill. And then right tackle, Mike McGlinchey, maybe, although he's coming back from a major, major injury. And Tom Compton just went to Denver. So is this how you're setting up your potential future franchise quarterback for success? Or, God forbid, Jimmy Garoppolo, if he comes back next year, that's even worse then. You're going to have questions on 4 out of the 5 spots of the offensive line. The whole Shanahan offense orbits around the offensive line. Joe Staley told me all 5 linemen have to be in lockstep. If one guy takes a false step or a wrong step, it screws up the whole machine. And we don't know who's going to be in 4 out of the 5 spots.
What's crazy to me is, like, when they're a lot on Twitter is like the whole contingent of Niner fans that believe everything the Niners are doing is smart. And they'll say things like, the team had 2 weaknesses last year. Cornerback, special teams, both were addressed. Why are you mad? They just created a new weakness at offensive line. Why? That's a fairly important position group. It directly impacts not only the quarterback, but the entire offense's ability to function. You're theoretically trying to transition to this major investment. I mean, you gave the Deshaun Watson package to this kid who played 1 year at North Dakota State. We all like him, but you want it to work, right? You want to look smart. And you're like, the way we're going to make this work is to hold on to Jimmy Garoppolo and his $27 million and get worse on the offensive line. Break. Well, who drew up that plan, man? Are you serious? And if they didn't have Jimmy Garoppolo, they could have afforded Laken Tomlinson. I know you don't want to spend all that money on Laken Tomlinson, but, like, you also don't want to downgrade for no freaking reason. Right?
And Laken Tomlinson was one of the few guys that could actually stay on the field for the 49ers. That dude never missed time. It was unbelievable. But I want to go back and touch on something you said about Trey Lance, because think about that, right? He's going to be your guy now. Your offensive line is in shambles right now. Now, maybe they fix it. Maybe Aaron Banks is awesome and they're good, but that's pretty ballsy considering he couldn't even dress for most of last year. You've got new position coaches at every single position on offense. New quarterback coach, new running back coach, new offensive line coach, new receivers coach, new tight ends coach, every single one. And you're going to have Trey Lance looking over his shoulder at Jimmy Garoppolo the whole time. That's how you're setting up your guy for success, right? Like, make it make sense.
You know, the defense on the Niners is always pretty solid. For the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, the defense is pretty set in stone. It's the strength of the team. And then but it should be the offense. I mean, Kyle, what is going on with your unit? The offensive line, you got one good player. You just overhauled the entire coaching staff and brought in a bunch of guys with no experience. You still haven't made the transition to Trey Lance. Like, what are you doing? And why is D'Amico Ryans outshining you? Explain that. First it was solid, now it's D'Amico, man. What the hell is that?
Kyle couldn't go to the combine because he had to teach the scheme to the coaching staff. Good think about that. Again, that's how you're setting up your guy for success. Your quarterback coach is Brian Greasy. He wasn't even a good Monday Night Football analyst. Like,
I don't understand reaching the NFC Championship game and then acting like this. They're acting like the team that was 3-5, not the team that went to the NFC Championship game. They're not acting like a team that really believes they were 2 or 3 plays away. They're acting like the team was like, well, you know what? A lot of things broke our way last year. This is different. Maybe we should bide our time. Like, really? Really?
I wrote on NinersNation.com yesterday, like, what, please, someone tell me the scenario. And maybe your audience is smarter than my audience, Grant, but tell me the scenario where the 49ers have handled this right, where their 49ers are batting 1,000. Because, like, I really can't see it. I don't know what it is.
The spreadsheet indicates that anyone who's taken business 101 would have to understand that the Niners are doing business in good faith. I mean, I'm trying to understand his logic, but at the same time, his logic is just agree with everything the Niners do and work backward from there.
Yep.
I feel like that's tough this week. I mean, I've never seen Niner fans so unanimously upset. I put out a poll yesterday. Have the Niners accomplished their main goal in free agency? It was like 85% no. I mean, take it however you want to take it, whatever their main goal is. But, like, how do you defend this? I mean, John Lynch isn't even defended. He's not like going on KMBR being like, I don't understand why people aren't praising me. Like, he's just underground right now. And he'll be like, give me a month. I'll talk before the draft. Maybe he has a few more weeks to do something. But honestly, if he just stops right now and he doesn't bring in a right tackle or a secondary edge rusher or another DB, like, he's going to be the least popular man in 49er world. Like, he needs to make some big moves to get the fans back on his side because they're really angry with him right now.
And it's like, what are you saying? You're going to hit on all of your draft picks? Because you really haven't gotten the early ones right in this regime's tenure. Like, they've actually done the hard part, which is hitting later on, which is crazy. But, like, you're putting a lot of pressure on your draft if you've got to find 2-3 starters. If you get 2-3 starters out of one draft, you've had an amazing draft. And that's kind of what the 49ers need. They need the edge rusher opposite Bosa, like you said. You need somebody at right guard, maybe right tackle, maybe center. Like, damn, strong safety. Who's the strong safety? Is it going to be George Odom?
Is it going to be Talanoa?
Oh, God. Talanoa,
he runs a 4.65. That's Fred Warner speed. How are you going to put Fred Warner single? I don't understand how you get someone that slow to play safety in the NFL. I'm sorry. I don't get that. If he didn't know Troy Polamalu, he wouldn't even be in the league. That's weird to me.
There's a role for him. Like, he can be a situational special teams role. If you want to, in running situations, if you want to put him closer to the line of scrimmage, okay, I could see it. But to just chuck him back there and be like, you're good, man. You and Jimmy, you got it. Like, no.
Weird. RJSF2293 says, Jimmy still in the Niners makes me nauseous. This Niners front office should be ashamed of themselves. Jimmy's the weakest link on this team. Sorry. Hey, John, you see how the Niners fan feel right now. There's really nothing I can do. You'd have to pay me. I know some people like to have your back for free. You'd have to pay me $3 million to have your back right now. What do you say? $3 million. Non-guaranteed.
I don't know how you justify. Like, if I was going to say, let me try and be John Lynch and justify this, my only you can't do it without throwing shade at Trey Lance. That's the only way to do it and justify it, really. Yeah,
you have to be like, look, can't say this publicly, but, like, Lance, we have a lot of misgivings about Lance, and we never really wanted to try. Like, it was all bullshit. We never really wanted to trade Jimmy. Like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think they thought they could trade him. I think they thought they had an offer. I think they thought they could make it better. I think they played themselves harder than teams usually play themselves in the NFL. I think it's kind of spectacular what they did in a sense. It's historic. It'll be studied in the future what not to do.
It will be studied.
John says Trey Lance will win the Niners over 11 games guarantee with all the skills he brings along with Debo, Kittles, Brandon, and Mitchell. Please keep mispronouncing Kittle's name. I appreciate that. George Kittles. He's famous, but not that famous to the point where people know how to pronounce his name. I like that. Thanks, John. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Also, people don't really know Debo's name either. Some people say Debo Samuels. That makes me happy because he blocked me. Carol, thank you. Why we keep supporting? First TB12, now this Garbo. I don't really know what that means, but I appreciate it. Rob, that's the show. 30 minutes, a quick one. But I appreciate you coming on. It was fun. We should do it again sometime.
It was. Anytime you need me, Grant, you know I'm always down.
All right, I'm always down too. This was a lot of fun. Hold on. Right at the end, at the buzzer, did you see Kyle and Trey hanging out with the rapper 24K Golden, LOL? I didn't know there was a rapper named 24K Golden. I'm 34 years old. Kyle, you're 40. Come on, man. You should be hanging out with E40, Too Short, only rappers born in the 60s and 70s, maybe the 80s. Come on, man. You're too old.
How about you trade your quarterback? Forget all this other garbage.
That's more important. That's really what it is.
Where's Jed York, by the way? Hey, Jed, how about you get two guys' heads in a room and clunk them together until they get their heads out of their ass? Like,
that's what kills me. Is like, I don't know. Were you a Niner fan when you were growing up in the 90s?
Yeah,
like I was.
Forever.
So we grew up on Eddie DeBartolo. That fool didn't fuck around. I'm sorry. Like, if he had John and Kyle like sort of just stalling, he would have stepped in and said, "This is my team. I'm making an executive decision. We're trying to win the Super Bowl. We're not content being the fourth best team in the league." Jed York seems quite content being the fourth best team in the league. As long as the Niners are a Super Bowl team, he can say that there's stability and that they're profitable. And he's probably right. But I grew up on Eddie D. I don't like this.
I don't like Jed saying when Trey was drafted last year, well, if we have to keep Jimmy Garoppolo for 2 years, we're good with that. No, dude, that's the opposite of what you should be saying. You are the only person with the authority to tell Kyle and John what to do. It's just you, because you're the only dude that can't get fired. You're the guy that writes the checks, right? How are you allowing this to happen? If you okayed the trade up for Trey, which you did, how are you not then making sure that the guy that you gave up all this stuff for is going to be in the best position to succeed?
Step the fuck up, Jed. It's your franchise. Step up.
Something.
I don't get it, man. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot. Did we miss anyone? No, I think we got it all. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, Rob. We'll do it again soon.